For more, I'm joined now by Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy, Behnam Ben Taleblu. Behnam, thanks for being with us this evening. I want to begin by talking about this satellite that was launched. Besides showcasing and advancing the different missile capabilities of Iran, is there any security concerns with the satellite itself? Any intelligence or different benefits that Iran could have by having that satellite in space?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. There's a short-term, actually, threat from the satellite, which can improve the regime's military targeting if the satellite is actually put into low Earth orbit and stays in low Earth orbit. In the past, some of these satellites that Iran has managed to put into low Earth orbit have tumbled out of that orbit just days, if not weeks later. So that's something to watch. But in the medium to long term, I'd be more worried about the carrier rocket. This is a carrier rocket that is the widest ever known diameter by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps for a space launch vehicle. These are basically cover programs for the regime's long-range strike aspirations that put not just the Middle East at risk, but have the potential to put the European continent and, God forbid, one day the American homeland at risk. The Qa'im is an all-solid propellant space launch vehicle. So that means in terms of military utility, it can be prepared much quicker before launch, giving intelligence agencies and any kind of military action much less time to actually be useful before interception. And as part of the larger revolution we've seen in the past decade of the regime's long-range strike capabilities, be they drones or missiles.
So what should these Western powers be doing if it is such a threat towards them? How should they be reining in and putting more of a stance to deteriorate Iran's capabilities?
You know, there's no going back in time. We can be honest about that. But October 2023, last year, was a perfect opportunity to snap back and restore the multilateral UN penalties that could have been put in place to get a much broader kind of enforcement of U.S. and multilateral sanctions against this program, which would require greater international support to stop the transshipment of Western technologies, be they commercial or military, from going to places like East Asia and then being transshipped into Iran. We've seen that with drones. We're also going to be seeing that with missiles. Moving forward, there has to be much more vigorous enforcement of the sectoral sanctions of the Islamic Republic. You need a government in Washington that actually sees the connection between the oil revenues the regime is getting through enhanced oil sales to China, as well as the military revolutions we're seeing on the ground inside the Islamic Republic. And then lastly, you're going to have to get creative and potentially take a page out of the Israeli playbook. You know, more covert action and sabotage may be needed against these missile, drone, and military programs that can at least handicap or tie the regime's hands behind its back, despite the intent to advance.
But are the Western powers willing to do such a risky move like that, to go into a covert operation and risk the repercussions coming from Iran?
At least in one instance, something that's been reported by the New York Times was an attempt to actually thwart exactly this, the space program of the Islamic Republic. And the New York Times chronicled something that was started in the Bush administration and actually was maintained and escalated throughout the Obama administration. This report, I think, was made public late in the Trump administration, so it's unclear the level of connectivity and continuity for some of these programs. But politically, you're right, there is a cap. There is a lack of appetite for actually racing the Islamic Republic. And that's precisely why the regime has become so emboldened, both at home and abroad.
We'll certainly wait and see exactly what happens. But in the meantime, Behnam Ben Taleblu, thanks for breaking down exactly what this does mean with the latest launch.
Thank you.